This morning, the president's lawyers sent a cease and desist letter threatening legal action against you and the publisher, to which you say?
And they sent that yesterday before they actually had read the book. But actually what I say is where do I send the box of chocolates?
You think he's helping you sell books?
Absolutely. I mean, and not only is he helping me sell books, but he's helping me prove the point of the book. I mean, this is extraordinary that a president of the United States would try to stop the publication of a book. This doesn't happen, has not happened from other presidents, would not even happen from a CEO of a mid-sized company.
Well, the president, obviously, as you know, tweeted about you last night. He says, I authorized zero access to the White House, actually turned you down many times, said he never spoke to you for the book. It's full of lies, misrepresentations, and sources that don't exist. So as good a place to start as any. Did you talk to the president?
What was I doing there if he didn't want me to be there?
Well, let me ask you, did you talk to the president? Did you interview him for this book?
I absolutely spoke to the president. Whether he realized it was an interview or not, I don't know, but it certainly was not off the record.
And you spoke to him at the White House after he was sworn in?
I spoke to him after the inauguration, yes. And I've spent about 3 hours with the president over the course of the campaign in the White House. So my window into Donald Trump is pretty significant. But even more to the point, I spent, and this was really sort of the point of the book, I spoke to people who spoke to the president on a daily, sometimes minute-by-minute basis. So this book was really, I mean, in a sense, there was one question on my mind when I began this book. What is it like to work with Donald Trump? How can you work with Donald Trump? And what is the, how do you feel having worked with Donald Trump?
And I want to get to the substance, what you've written in the book in a moment, but just to clear this up, because the president is saying it's full of lies, that you didn't have the access you said you had.
You know, I think one of the things we have to count on is that Donald Trump will attack. He will send lawyers letters. This is a 35-year history of how he approaches everything.
Do you have recordings of some of these interviews and some of these conversations?
Well, I work like every journalist works. So I have recordings, I have notes. I am certainly and absolutely in every way comfortable with everything I've reported in this book.
Would you release any of those recordings since your credibility is being questioned?
My credibility is being questioned by a man who has less credibility than perhaps anyone who has ever walked on Earth at this point.
Before I leave it, I will say the president, the tweet alludes to, quote, your past. It says, I assume referring to a profile about you in 2004 in the New Republic. The reporter said of you, the scenes in your writing aren't recreated so much as created, springing from Wolff's imagination rather than actual knowledge of events.
I've written many books. I've written millions upon millions of words. I don't think there has ever been one correction.
So you stand by everything in the book, nothing made up?
Absolutely everything in the book.
Let's talk about the book itself, because one of the overarching themes is that, according to your reporting, everyone around the president, senior advisors, family members, every single one of them, questions his intelligence and fitness for office.
Let me put a marker in the sand here. 100% of the people around him.
Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, Ivanka Trump, question his fitness for office?
Every time and I want to be careful about who I spoke to, because the nature of this kind of book is you kind of grant everyone a veil. But having said that, certainly Jared and Ivanka, in their current situation, which is in a deep legal quagmire, are putting everything on the president. Not us, it's him.
And what are some of the ways the president was described to you by those closest to him?
You know, I will tell you the one description that everyone gave, everyone has in common. They all say he is like a child. And what they mean by that is he has a need for immediate gratification. It's all about him. I mean, this letter for this cease and desist letter, I mean, I still have sources in the White House, and I know everybody was going, we should not be doing this. This is not smart. And he just insists. He just has to be satisfied in the moment. You
said that these senior people insult his intelligence. What are the kinds of things people would say?
They say he's a moron, an idiot. Actually, there's a competition to sort of get to the bottom line here of who this man is. Let's remember, this man does not read, does not listen. So he's like a pinball, just shooting off the sides. One of the more disturbing observations you make in the book is that the president's close advisors, people around him, have noticed him repeating stories, expression for expression, you say, within a short period of time. In a shortening period. So they've all tracked this, that it used to be, I know people would point out that in the beginning it was like every 25 or 30 minutes you would get the same 3 stories repeated. Now it's the same 3 stories in every 10 minutes. And what's the suggestion there? Because that goes beyond saying, okay, the president's not an intellectual. I mean, what are you arguing there? You say, for example, that he was at Mar-a-Lago and didn't recognize lifelong friends. I will quote Steve Bannon.